I've done a bit of a switch. I have the wrong kit. I'm not sure I understand this. And this is just a continuation of that, trying to make myself a little more efficient. This is the section that's the problem. Damn. This is the story of my life. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever gone to your Kubota dealer to buy parts and you go and pick up your order and it comes like this? In a bag? Yeah, me either. So today's video is about upgrading my rear blade. Now, you've seen a couple of videos of me working with the scraper blade, once with clearing snow and once working on the road at the overlook. But it wasn't this blade that you saw. I've done a bit of a switch. I bought a Land Pride RB1672 inch blade when I bought the tractor. I sold that blade and I bought this one, which is an RB1672 inch blade, and I did that for one reason. Well, maybe a little more than one. This blade is heavier, it allows you to tilt, but most importantly, there is a hydraulic option for this blade. All right, as some of you may know if you've been following the channel, not too long ago I added rear hydraulic remotes to the LX2610, and this is just a continuation of that, trying to make myself a little more efficient and get better usage out of the tractor all around. So today I'm going to add the hydraulic option to the RB1672. Let's get started. All right, so this is everything that comes in the kit. It does come with instructions. Also, these instructions I think are found in the manual for the RB1672 itself. Got a hydraulic cylinder and the two pins that'll hold it in. I've got two different pieces of mounting hardware that are going to attach to the blade. This will be new, and this is going to replace a part that's on there already. I got two hydraulic hoses. One is a little shorter than the other. And then I've got some hydraulic fittings. These are the fittings that are going to connect the hoses to the cylinder. And then these are adapters so that you can put your own hardware on the end. Hang on, let me get a better shot. This is the adapter that came with the kit. So we've got this 1/2 inch JIC connector on one side, and this on the other, which is supposed to connect to the fitting that would plug into the hydraulics. That's a 1/2 inch size as well. The issue is that the connectors that came with the rear remotes uses 1/4 inch NPT threads. So I ordered online this, which uses the 1/2 inch JIC, and then it comes down to 1/4 inch NPT threads. So that's what I'm going to be using, and I'll include part numbers for those in the description of the video. Guys, I just want to jump in here for a quick second and talk a little bit about thread sizes. I'll be the first one to tell you, threads mystify me, and the only way that I get a proper thread size is when I take a screw or a bolt with me to Home Depot and put nuts on it until I find the right size. I'm lost. So in this video, I talk about 1/2 inch JIC and 1/2 inch fittings. I got that because I took the fittings with me to Tractor Supply and physically held them up to the other ones they were selling, and they were 1/2 inch size threads. The adapters that I ordered, that 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch NPT, that's what I ordered. Although if I look on the parts manual in the exploded views, they call those threads 3/4 inch JIC and 3/4 inch threads. So I'll be real honest, I'm not really sure what it is. I ordered 1/2 inch threads and they worked, but don't trust anything I say when it comes to threads. All right, I'm just going to give you a really quick overview. I'm going to have to take out this screw and this screw, add one of those pieces of hardware here, and replace these screws with two screws that are a little bit longer. They came in the kit. Then I'm going to have to come back here, loosen this nut, take this off, put the other, the big angling kit piece on here, put this bolt back down, and then the hydraulic cylinder will mount between the two, and then it will connect up there to the rear remotes. Okay, the first thing I got to do is get this nut off, and I've heard and seen that it can be a bear. So you may recall from my brush hog video that this air gun has seen its best day. I don't hold out a lot of hope that this is going to work, but let's try. Well, what do you know? Well guys, I just found out I have the wrong kit. You can see this is a great big hex right here. I need this piece right here. Damn. Alright guys, I will probably have to pick this up weeks from now because it took almost a month to get that part before. I'll have to see if I ordered the wrong part or if they shipped me the wrong one. I think I probably know the answer to that. So guys, let's talk a little bit about what happened when I ordered this kit and how I ended up getting the wrong kit, because it seems to me like it's pretty easy to do. When I originally searched for the angling kit for an RB1672, I came up with a couple of numbers. I'll show you here. This is the first page of the instruction kit. And if you look right here, you will see that there is a kit 301-425A for the RB16 series and 301-426A for the RB26 series. Now, you really don't see any other numbers besides that one. If you look over here under the Before You Start section, they talk about some serial numbers that may require you to grind a little bit on the frame itself. And there is this one note here, and this is really what is pertinent to my issue, but it's easy to misinterpret. This hydraulic angling kit will not fit on RB16 and LR16 series with serial numbers 711, 725 and below, or on rear blades and landscape rakes that do not have a hex drive pivot shaft for angling the blade or rake. So that's the key bit. But if you flip the instructions open and you look at the very first illustration they show, it is the blade that I have, which has that slotted pivot plate. But honestly, you don't know what's underneath the pivot cap until you take the blade apart. And if I read that note about the hex drive pivot shaft, what do I see if I look right on the top of the blade? I see a great big hex nut. So that's easy to miss. I have the operator's manual. I went through that. There's nothing really that pertains to it there other than it talks about the hydraulic kit. And it was not until I went online and I downloaded the parts manual and I went through the parts manual that it goes through and talks about that. It shows the kits that are listed on the instructions, the 425A and the 426A. But it is not until page 32 of the parts manual that lists actually the correct angling kit. And it is an angling option for RB16 series with serial numbers 985650 and greater. And that part number and the part number that I ordered, the correct part number, is 301-526A. So if you're going to order an angling kit for your rear blade, I would pay close attention to what those serial numbers are. Check the parts manual. You can download it online, or at a minimum, go ahead and undo the bolt on the back and lift up that pivot cap and see whether you have that slotted pivot point or the hexagonal pivot point. Okay, so here is my new replacement kit. And I think I went over this before, and it is really essentially the same with the exception of this piece. And you can see this has the slot in it, and I will try to insert a photograph right here where you can see the other piece, that hexagonal piece here, which did not work. As I believe I mentioned before, these two fittings which came with the kit I'm not going to use. I bought these instead, which goes from the 1/2" JIC to the 1/4" NPT to match up with the male connectors that I need to fit my hydraulic remotes. And actually, I have already prepped a couple of those to use. You'll notice that there is some Teflon tape on those two fittings. Those are NPT threads, and they do call for the Teflon or some sort of thread sealant there. The rest of these I don't think I'm going to need any, but we'll talk more about that later. It's coming off pretty easy now because I've had it off a few times. That comes off, that comes off, that comes off. That's going to go on there like so. Okay, what am I missing? All right, guys, I have to tell you, I find this pretty interesting. I'm not sure I understand this. If I'm coming from the bottom, no problem. But from the top, very odd. Well, let's see if I put a little lubrication on here. All right. And let's try this one. Okay, so that was unnecessarily complicated. I don't believe it should have been necessary to beat on that thing so much. Let's see. Let me use this nut to pull this up. All right, I'm going to start the tractor and lift it up and make sure this pivot's okay. Make sure I got that slide aligned. Yeah. right, shouldn't need this pin. Next comes this, which means I have to take out these two screws and replace them with these. And these are, I believe they're 3/4, yes. Well, let's try a little leverage. There we go. Okay, you know what, I should probably put some red Loctite on these, but I don't have any red Loctite, but I am going to put some blue Loctite on here. I'm going to add a little Loctite to these as well. These bolts here and the top pivot bolt all torqued to 265 foot-pounds. That's 10 pounds higher than my torque wrench will go, and probably even less of that do I have the strength to do. These over here on the front bracket are 76 foot-pounds. I think I can handle that one. 76 foot-pounds. I think I need my powerlifting son here to do this one probably. 240, 250. I'll take that as a yes. Okay, I've angled the blade. Kind of fun here. These are the pins that came with the cylinder. All right, I got to pull these plugs out. Two hoses, one long, one short. Short one's going to go up front. Okay, I did this wrong. This needs to go on first. And let's see. Those are not tight yet. Just trying to fit the hoses. You can tell I'm a real hydraulics expert here. see there. This is a 7/8. There's probably a better metric equivalent, but that's working.
Five minutes later.
Oh, this is nice. It does not want to fit because the valve is so close to the ROPS. Okay, so again, another snag. This is the story of my life. The hoses that came with the kit, the connectors there at the end where it plugs into the rear remotes, it's physically bigger just slightly than the other hoses, and because the clearance is so tight against the ROPS, and I'll show you that in a second, it just won't go. So as a stopgap, just so I can test this out, I've disconnected the top link and put it in where I would normally be trying to plug in the angle kit on the blade, and now I've put the angle kit in where I would normally have the top link because there is clearance there, just so I can hook it up and test for fit and function. This is the section that's the problem. As you can see on this hose, this is just a little bit bigger than this one, and the clearance right here is very tight, so this will just physically not fit into this coupling. So I had to pull this one, which was connected here, pull it out, put it in here, and this is where the angle kit is connected for now. When I'm not using the angle blade, until I get this completely rectified, I'll just have to switch them. But I don't think this is a particularly great design. I've heard other people complain about this as well. It's just the lack of room is kind of crazy. It's just a poor design. Okay, here goes nothing. Looks good. All right. I'm going to call this a provisional success. Okay, guys. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up from here. This has been a bit of a project. It should have taken about 15 minutes, but it's been a bit of an effort. So I'm glad to have this on here. But I do have some cleanup to do before it's really like I want it to be. So anyway, as always, I appreciate you being here. I hope we see you next time.